Hello old-timers and newcomers, I am Cole Scratches, and thank you for joining me to take a look at what I was sent. Last week I reviewed 13, a media project film from students in England. Afterwards, Nathan Cox, who played Nathan Clark in the movie, reached out to me and asked me to review a short horror they produced during lockdown. He was a nice guy and I did kinda sorta give 13 a passing grade but nothing more, so I thought it'd only be fair to take a look at something I was actually asked to review. That said, I will break pattern here and not show the movie in its entirety. 13 is a short film at only 45 minutes, but this film is only 20 minutes long. To go into any kind of detail would just be a disservice, so what is this movie even about? I Hear Things is a psychological thriller written and directed by Nathan Cox and Archie Mayer. A young man is left alone as a lockdown smites the UK and traps the boy in his home with nothing but time, his cell phone as an only means of socializing, and music to drown out the noise. Noise. Empty reality ticking by second, minute by minute as the silence grows louder and louder as he's trapped in this lonesome hell and slowly sinks into insanity. Why does this sound eerily familiar? Anyway, whether or not this madness is all in my head, his head, is, or if it's at all meaningful to make such a distinction, I leave for you to decide, as me discussing it would probably give away the ending. After a Cameron Jace quote, I haven't read any of his books, I'm more of a Vincent V. Cava guy, we're slapped in the face with artsy shots and music. I'm kind of on edge about how to judge it, considering I see what they're going for, but I don't really think they reach it. The music is very eerie and moody, and it fits as the BGM of a horror movie, but I think it's a little bit mismatched with the visuals, because it gets very grand and loud in places, and I just don't think it entirely fits with the visuals that are very barren and intimate. It took me out of what could have been a very contemplative and even isolated mindset. It works for what it is, for what they were going for, but it's not perfect. And the same thing can be said about the visuals. Altogether, they serve the purpose they're meant to. They create an environment that is open, barren, lonely, and eerie. I especially like this one panning shot with the many doors down the hallway, the staircase and the open door. This is spooky as all hell, but immediately afterwards it jump cuts to a shot which is also pretty eerie, but it's more brightly lit and there is more color to it. So, no, it's not perfect, but they clearly have a good idea of where they wanted to go with it, and I liked where they were going. It set the tone to match the story they wanted to tell concerning isolation, loneliness, paranoia, and that brings me neatly to the story. Archie Mayer plays Ethan, who is unmaliciously abandoned by everyone during lockdown. At first, boredom is his biggest complaint, but soon enough the empty house becomes a metaphorical box he's trapped in. Completely alone, his vulnerability soon turns to paranoia, and he feels as if someone or something is in the house with him when he starts to hear knocking coming from one of the locked doors in the building. It's a familiar enough setup, but very well done, I think. You see, as the story progresses, it turns out that Ethan may not be imagining what's happening in the house, because a phone call to his roommate Alex, played by Nathan Cox, I think, reveals that he too has been hearing strange things from that room. However, even then, a phone call to his mother, played by... Fuck, I didn't check that out. Reveals that his non-specific medication for his non-specific condition hasn't arrived yet. So it's possible that not only are the events in the house not real, the phone calls themselves may not be real. Maybe he's on the verge of a psychotic break. It creates this environment where logic isn't entirely rigorous, and you don't entirely know whether or not something is real. But it doesn't go so far as the events not mattering, because they do. And they utilize all of the runtime to play around with this concept and do it very, very well. And Mayer does a very good job performing as the character of Ethan. I mean, his acting is a little bit wooden, a little bit stilted, but can you expect something else? He still emotes in a appropriate way, and his actions still make sense within their context. So for the final part, the horror. Psychological horror is a tricky beast that sometimes assume if something is weird, that means it's automatically scary, or if it just doesn't make sense. However, this film nails it, I think. I was placed in that sweet spot where I contemplated if Ethan's visions were real, while also feeling frightened for his sake as he experienced them. The horror is very ghost-like and ethereal, and it reminded me a little bit of Lights Out. With clever use of the set and the camera work, it managed to be suggestively threatening without being up in your face. And that's it, I think. A very flawed but well-intentioned production that, while not the best acting, cinematography, effects, it wasn't very original either, it still knew what kind of movie it wanted to be, and I think Nathan and Archie did a great job bringing it to life. And I sentence it to a 6 on a scale of 11. I kind of want to rate it higher, I kind of want to give it a 7, but it has too many flaws for me to feel comfortable rating it that high. Still, I had a very good time doing this review. It was fun to make a review of something that was unusually short, by my standards anyway. Because what I usually consider to be minor details suddenly becomes very important. Thank you all for watching. I have been Core Scratches. Make sure to follow my art channel, my DA, my Twitter, my Facebook. Like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, and I hope you will see me again next time to take a look at what I found. And next time I will have found something.